Ben was driving through a rural area when he noticed a scruffy wolf relentlessly chasing his car. He tried to speed up, thinking it'd give up, but the desperate glint in its eyes and its persistent pace made him second guess. Something seemed off, and he couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just a random chase. However, Ben still had no idea that this random encounter would end with a mind-blowing discovery that he would remember for the rest of his life. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. That wolf is still following me, Ben thought as he rounded another corner. He picked up speed, but the wolf simply did the same. Ben sighed as he realized that he wouldn't be able to lose it, and he finally slowed down and came to a halt. The wolf ran around his car, wagging its tail and letting out an occasional bark. It clearly wanted something from him. But what? Ben waited for the wolf to calm down before he opened the door. When he finally did, it immediately started whining. Ben wondered whether the wolf was hurt, but he couldn't spot any injuries. And the wolf didn't have a limp either. And then it dawned on him. It was probably just hungry and looking for something to eat. He grabbed his phone and searched for the nearest animal shop in the area. And about 5 minutes later, he parked his car in front of the store. The wolf had followed him there, jumping around his car as he got out. All right, I'll be right back," Ben said. But he had no idea yet that food wasn't really what the wolf wanted from him. Ben bought some cans of wolf food and quickly returned to his car. The wolf was still waiting for him, just as he had expected, and he opened one of the cans and placed it in front of it. However, the wolf didn't even seem to notice the food. It was only staring at Ben, and it paid no attention to the food at all. "What's the matter? Aren't you hungry, buddy?" Ben asked, and he was a little bit confused. If the wolf hadn't been following him for food, then what did it want from him? As he took another look at it, he gasped when he noticed something that he had missed before. There was no doubt about it. This wolf had given birth recently. Her belly was still a bit swollen and saggy, and it was obvious that she had been feeding her pups. The wolf was still whining and barking at Ben, and she hadn't even sniffed the food that he had put down in front of her. Ben was suddenly overcome with a sense of heartache at the sight of this poor wolf. She was probably just desperate to save her babies. Ben crouched down and approached her to pet her, but she suddenly jumped back. She hadn't seemed afraid at all until that moment. But she probably just wasn't used to being touched by humans, Ben thought. So he tried again, very slowly and quietly, not wanting to scare the wolf away. But the same thing happened. Just when he thought he got close enough, she took another step back. And suddenly, Ben realized what was going on. This wolf wasn't afraid of him. No, this was something entirely different. The mother wolf kept turning her head back to look at him as she slowly walked away, coming to a halt after every few steps. There was no doubt about it. The wolf was beckoning Ben to follow her. Ben's eyes widened, and he hesitantly took a few steps toward the wolf. Ben quickly placed the other cans of wolf food in his backpack and locked his car, ready to follow the mom wolf to her babies. Ben laughed and said, "All right, I'm coming," and the two set out on their way. Even though Ben had no idea where the wolf was leading him, he blindly followed her. Ben embarks on an unforeseen journey, following the persistent wolf through the rural outskirts. With every step, an unspoken connection grew between Ben and the wolf. They moved in sync, understanding each other's pace and pauses. As they emerged from the forest, the wolf paused, turning to look at Ben. Its gaze was intense, filled with an unspoken plea to continue. Ben sensed a critical juncture approaching in their quest. Each step felt more pressing, as if time itself were urging them forward, hastening them towards an unknown climax. Suddenly, they emerged into a clearing. The abrupt change in the landscape felt like a significant shift in their journey. The clearing was bathed in soft sunlight, offering a stark contrast to the dense forest they had traversed. In the clearing, the wolf's behavior changed. It barked more urgently, its tail wagging rapidly. The wolf moved around, sniffing the air and the ground, then looking back at Ben with an insistent gaze. With each step forward, Ben felt a mounting anticipation. They were on the brink of discovery, the climax of their journey seemingly within reach. In this secluded space, the wolf paused, its gaze lingering on the surroundings with a mixture of hope and fear. Its eyes moved from Ben to the wilderness around them, conveying a deep, unspoken emotion. Ben sensed the wolf's connection to this place, a bond that transcended mere familiarity and spoke of a profound personal history. A faint path seemed well known to the wolf, as it confidently led the way, navigating with ease. The wolf's reactions to certain landmarks, a gnarled tree, a rocky outcrop, hinted at memories deeply etched in its being. Amidst the quiet of the forest, a realization began to dawn on Ben. The pieces of their journey started to come together, forming a picture that extended beyond a simple stray leading him. This was a journey with purpose, driven by something deeply significant in the wolf's past, a story waiting to be uncovered by Ben's unwavering commitment. In a secluded part of the woods, Ben was stunned to discover an old well. Peering inside, he heard faint whimpers. The mother wolf paced anxiously, confirming his worst fears. Her pups had fallen into the well, trapped and unable to escape. The realization hit Ben hard, but he knew he had to act fast to save them. Ben quickly assessed the situation, formulating a rescue plan for the pups. Time was of the essence. He scavenged for materials around, fashioning a makeshift harness with ropes he found nearby. The task was daunting, but Ben was determined to save the pups, driven by a deep sense of responsibility and compassion. With the harness ready, Ben carefully lowered himself into the well. The descent was precarious, a balance between caution and urgency. As he went deeper, the cries of the pups grew louder, guiding him in the darkness. His heart raced as he neared the bottom, knowing that every second counted in this delicate rescue operation. Reaching the bottom, Ben found the pups huddled together. The space was cramped and treacherous. He gently secured each puppy in the harness, his movements calculated and tender. The task was fraught with challenges, but Ben was focused, determined to bring each puppy to safety, back to their anxious mother above. One by one, Ben hoisted the pups to the surface. With each ascent, his relief was tinged with anxiety for the next. The operation was slow and tense, but Ben's resolve never wavered. The sight of each puppy reaching the top, safe and sound, fueled his determination to continue until all were rescued. Finally, with all the pups rescued, the reunion between the mother wolf and her litter was a sight to behold. Her joyous barks and the pups' excited yelps filled the air. Watching the family reunite, Ben felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. The danger they had faced was worth it to see them together and safe. In the aftermath of the rescue, Ben and the wolf family shared a moment of profound relief and joy. The mother wolf nuzzled her pups, each one a bundle of energy and affection. Watching them, Ben felt a wave of contentment wash over him. It was a moment of pure, heartfelt connection, a respite after the tension-filled rescue. As they relished their reunion, locals who had been alerted by Ben's earlier efforts arrived at the scene. They came with offers of assistance and expressions of admiration for what Ben had accomplished. Their timely arrival provided the support needed to ensure the well-being of the wolf family, a heartwarming example of community spirit and kindness. The wolf family was soon taken to a nearby shelter, a place of safety and care. As they settled into their new home, Ben knew they would be well looked after. The shelter promised a future filled with love and attention, a stark contrast to the uncertainty they had faced before. It was a fitting new beginning for the brave canine family. Later, Ben found himself reflecting on the incredible journey he had undertaken. From the first encounter with the mother wolf to the dramatic rescue, each moment had forged an unbreakable bond between them. The experience had changed him, teaching him lessons in courage, compassion, and the unspoken language of connection between humans and animals. As the story drew to a close, Ben considered the impact of this adventure on his life. He pondered a continued role in the lives of the wolf and her pups, contemplating fostering or even adopting one. The experience had awakened a new purpose in him, hinting at a lasting change and a future enriched by the presence of these canine companions. Tell us what you think about this story and share it with your friends. It might inspire them and brighten their day. If you enjoyed this story, you might like this one about a rich dad who was ashamed of his waiter son until one day he surprised him with his dedication to his work.